Now, what are the factors which decide that ionic bond will be formed or not? First factor is, now when ionic bond is formed, you know that metals lose electron, and metal will lose electron easily in gaseous state. So it means first solid, and most of the metals are solids, and so solid first will be converted into gaseous state, and the energy required to convert solid into gaseous is called sublimation energy. Now after it is converted into gaseous state, it can lose electron, but it needs ionization energy. That is, energy required to remove an electron from a neutral gaseous atom is called ionization energy or ionization enthalpy. So the condition for ionic bond is that the sublimation energy and ionization energy of metal should be minimum so that it may easily form a cation. Second point is, in non-metals, usually non-metals are in the form of diatomic molecules. For example, H2, O2, N2. So the first we have to break the bond between them. And when you want to break the bond between two atoms, energy is required, which is called dissociation energy. And after the bond is broken, the atoms come in gaseous state. And when they gain electron in gaseous state to form negatively charged ions, the energy is released. And this energy released is called electron gain enthalpy. So for formation of ionic bond, the dissociation energy should be low and electron gain enthalpy of a non-metal should be high so that they easily form an ion. So this is the second condition for formation of ionic bond. Third point is there should be strong electrostatic force of attraction between cation and anion. Because greater the force of attraction, more stable bond will be formed. Usually metals have low ionization energy. Why they have low ionization energy? Because they are larger in size and they can easily lose electron. Non-metals have high electron gain enthalpy. Why they have high electron gain enthalpy? Because they are smaller in size and smaller atoms can easily gain electrons, so more energy will be released. So metals with low ionization energy and non-metals with high electron gain enthalpy will always form ionic compounds. Now we are going to take up characteristics of ionic compounds. First point is, ionic compounds do not show molecular structure. Ionic compounds exist in the form of three-dimensional crystal lattice. These are the three-dimensional crystal lattice. The first crystal lattice shows the crystal structure of sodium chloride. Now chloride ions are on the corners of the cube, which are shown by the green circle, and sodium ion are on the edge centers, that is centers of the edges of the cube, and this structure is called face-centered cubic crystal structure. So NaCl has face-centered cubic structure, and all ionic compounds are crystalline solids and which have specific three-dimensional arrangement, which is called crystal structure. Cesium chloride is body-centered cubic structure. Now why it is called body-centered cubic structure? Because chloride ions are on the corners and cesium ion is at body center. And that is why it is called body-centered cubic crystal. Melting and boiling point. Now since the force of attraction between oppositely charged ions is high, that is the reason that ionic compounds have high melting and boiling point. That is, very high energy is required to change their state. From solid state to liquid state is called melting, and from liquid state to gaseous state is called boiling. So their melting and boiling points are quite high. Hardness. Ionic compounds are solids with brittle nature. Means if you drop any crystal, it will break. Which means that they are brittle in nature. Conductivity. Ionic solids do not conduct electricity in solid state. Why they do not conduct electricity in solid state? Because the ions are not free to move. Electric current can pass only when ions are free to move. So they conduct electricity only in aqueous solution or in fused state, that is molten state. Why? Because ions are free to move in molten state as well as in aqueous solution. Solubility of ionic compound. Most of the ionic compounds are soluble in polar solvents which have high dielectric constant. Now, high dielectric constant means they are highly polar, like water. So, solubility of ionic compound is there in polar compounds, but they are insoluble in non-polar compounds. So, most of the ionic compounds are soluble in water. There is another factor which will decide whether the ionic compound is soluble or not. This is called solvation or hydration energy, and it's very important concept. You have just now understood that the ionic solid exists in the form of three-dimensional crystal lattice, and we need energy to break this crystal lattice into constituting ions. This energy required to break a crystal lattice into constituting ions is called lattice energy. And when you put any ionic compound in water, so ions get surrounded by water molecules or the solvent molecules, and energy is released due to attraction between polar solvent and ions. This energy released is called solvation energy or hydration energy. So, if the hydration energy exceeds the lattice energy, or if lattice energy is less than hydration energy, then only compound will be soluble in water. And if lattice energy is more than hydration energy, compound will be insoluble in water. And if hydration energy is much larger than lattice energy, so dissolution of such ionic compounds will be exothermic process. That is, energy will be released. For example, if sodium hydroxide is put in water, energy is released. Sulfuric acid, if it is added to water, it becomes hot. That is, energy is released. There are some compounds in which energy is absorbed when we dissolve them in water. For example, ammonium chloride, when dissolved in water, it absorbs energy and cooling takes place. So here, lattice energy is slightly more than the hydration energy, and that can be compensated by taking energy from the surroundings.